Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Do let me know in the chat if you will. Sarah's here, Mel's here, T-Duck's here as well. It's like the old days. T-Duck was in first. Only just at 8 o'clock. Back in the day, T-Duck, weren't you there? Lurking behind the scenes, very early doors. The three gumpers of the Gumpocalypse. It was you, Coach, and possibly James was it. In another time and place of the Good Morning Portugal show. Trajectory, history. It's a beautiful day, says T-Duck. Looking forward to a nice long walk around Caldas. That sounds amazing. It is a beautiful day, isn't it? Which has rather spoilt my rain moan of the day. A great guest today, of course. James is joining us with a new feature, Bird of the Week. Excuse me. It's not so much a bird, but a frog in my throat this morning. I'm not singing like a bird just yet. Heralding in spring. Yes, James is joining us with a new feature, Bird of the Week with James, because I heard him mention his love of birds last week, and I thought, well, okay, why don't we do a Bird of the Week, a Portuguese Bird of the Week? Great time of the year to be doing that. Tig joining us, a Brits in Portugal update from Tig, and Garvo will be joining us briefly this morning in the Bom Dia Daily section. News, weather, language, culture, well-being in Portugal. 20 minutes thereof between 8 and 8:20 before we talk to our guests. Yeah, I was going to have a bit of a continued moan about the rain, but my thunder's been stolen. Hey, no, I wasn't doing all of that setup just to say that. That just occurred to me on the spur of the moment there. This is Bob. Bob sees it's raining outside. Bob, I took this personally. Bob doesn't post it on Facebook because Bob knows his friends also have eyes. Bob is smart. Be like Bob. No, I won't be like Bob. I will continue to moan about the rain whenever I see it now because we've had enough of it. It's been a weirdo weekend weather-wise for sure. The warnings were for a storm. It was Nuria, wasn't it, that came in on Friday or thereabouts, threatened to spoil the weekend. But actually, there were some beautiful moments over the weekend, and I hope you enjoyed some of those. We're going to look at the Portuguese being in good health. That's a nice story. A lovely weekend, actually. Met up with Gary Coulton. He, of course, of the Positive Echo podcast that I do with him on. There'll be a live version of that this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Great to meet him in person. Got a copy of that book in my grubby, sweaty hand now. And also, I was at this event, of course. That's where I met him, along with the wonderful Adriana Carneiro and Mario Pisimosh. We all had dinner together in the evening as well. It was superb. New ways of thinking and being was how I've conceptualized it in my mind. And that's how I'll write about it as well in the Portugal Resident. Really great afternoon and evening. Really enjoyed that, talking about all sorts of things, about neurodiversity, near-death experiences, and NLP. The speakers were great. The food was fabulous. Here's the highlight of the food. I had to take a picture of my dessert. In fact, I had to put two of them together because it was suddenly turning into a Benny Hill sketch right there and then. Fabulous food. A carpaccio of camarão, a shrimp carpaccio, braised pork cheeks, a bacalhau alagreiro, and this fabulous strawberry dessert as well. Those were mousse. They were underneath that shell was a delightful mousse with a slightly tangy. There was a beautiful balance of sweetness and bitterness, sweetness and sourness of the lovely strawberry syrup on top of. Well, what do you call that? How else do you describe that shape other than the beautiful dome of deliciousness? Garvo joining me on the screen. I'm thinking, what on earth have I arrived to? We'll chat with him in just a moment. A few thoughts for the day before we get started. Gary here, of course, to talk about the wine club tonight. Sorry, that's probably quite enough of that on the screen, isn't it? Bom Dia Daily. There you are. Okay, fantastic. Yes, the bird of the week, I think, is going to be the blackbird. But what is that in Portuguese? And you'll be hearing a fair bit of blackbird song, I suspect. They're quite a noisy bird, aren't they, the blackbird? at any time of year, I believe. They don't migrate, do they, blackbirds? Anyway, James will tell us all about that. A few memes and graphics to go toward the ever-growing collection of maps and memes and guffaws over at the Portugal Club. Isn't it nice to see here that, well, it's not nice to see the most unsafe countries in Europe, but it's nice to see that Portugal, in the serious crime index, has under 25. Would that be serious crimes? I don't know, a day, or I don't know. That's the problem with these memes and things, isn't it? But I'm going to take that as good news that we live in a country where it's in the lowest bracket when it comes to the safety here in Europe. A few other things that grabbed my attention over the weekend. Henry Rollins. I know a lot of people like the comedy. He's a comedian. He's really passed me by. I don't know a lot about Henry Rollins. I know a lot of people have said to me, oh, you'll love Henry Rollins. He said, no such thing as spare time, no such thing as free time, no such thing as downtime. All you got is lifetime. Go! A nice little reminder on a Monday morning. And an old lady here. If you want to have a bit of fun this morning, is she a Portuguese old lady? I don't know. Make someone's day more exciting by texting "on my way" at 7:30 a.m. Isn't that great? Who's going to try this morning and get back to me tomorrow with how it went? Make someone's day more exciting by texting "on my way" at 7:30 a.m. when you don't have plans. Awesome. Try it. See what happens if you want to create a bit of mischief today. I think that's it. I thought there was another one. But that'll do for now. I'm going to go very quickly before we speak to Garvo about the lovely news from the Portugal news this morning. This will be the Portuguese in good health. And here it is. Let's see how the Portuguese feel about their health. Now, in the country of Saudade, and where people tend to answer when you say, Tudo bem? Mais ou menos. It's like it does seem like there's a slight cultural reluctance to say, top of the morning, woohoo! I feel like $1 million here. Not the sort of thing you normally hear, to be fair, from your Portuguese neighbours necessarily. More than half, however, 53.6%, I could have figured that out, more than half, of the Portuguese population assessed their health status as very good or good in 2024, the highest figure in the last 20 years. Maybe it's something to do with the wine. We'll talk about that with Garvo in a moment. According to data from the National Statistics Institute, the INE, that knocks all this stuff out, the percentage of people who negatively assessed their health, 12% in 2024, was also the lowest since the beginning of the series, representing a reduction of 1.5 percentage points, PP, compared to 2023, and significantly lower than those recorded from 2004 to 2014, between 18 and 21%. The data, which appears in the publication Health Statistics, that's a riveting read. They could have given it a different title, like Whoopie-Doo, I feel like $1 million, or some of us do, released by INE on the occasion of the World Health Day, April 7th. Hey, that's today, everybody. Drink Portuguese wine. Indicate that the Greater Lisbon region has the highest proportion of people aged 16 or over with a positive perception of their health status. Marvelous. Followed by the Azores and the Algarve. In 2024, the central region recorded the lowest frequency of the population with positive health assessment. Garvo might have something to say about that as a broadcaster from that region on a weekly basis. Now, other data from the publication indicate, data. Is it data indicates or data indicate? I think academics say the data indicate that last year, 28.7% of the population, that is, felt limited in carrying out activities considered normal for most people due to health problems. It's not just health problems, is it? Feeling limited in carrying out activities considered normal is a struggle for many of us here, and I'll include the Gumpers. It has nothing to do with health. It's to do with disposition. The Healthy Life Years indicator, do I have to be normal? Which combines information on the population's life expectancy and the incidence of limitations in carrying out usual activities due to health problems, reveals that in 2022, healthy life expectancy at age 65 was 8.6 years for men and 7.6 years for women. There you go. Some good health statistics there, I think. In both cases, the values are lower than the averages in the European Union, however, but only just. If you want to know, and you can find that article in the Portugal news there. But the headline, Portuguese in good health. Good to hear that. And they're ranking themselves quite highly in that regard. Let's bring on the great Garvo, shall we, from Central Portugal. He's going to talk to us now about the Wine Club tonight, one of the longest running features of the Good Morning Portugal show. Nice big round of applause. Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA. Oh, Garvo, how are you? Mais ou menos, or
Good.
one
I'm excellent. I'm going to go for excellent today.
Cinco estrelas, mi amigo. So how is it? How's the weather? It's hard to tell from the man cave, isn't it? What the weather's like when you're in the bunker.
Well,
There.
it's always a bit, on the dicey side in here. It's always a bit, fetid and damp. But out there, the sun is shining and all is good. The
It looks like
sun
a
is
beautiful day. I've got it streaming through the net curtains of the studio this morning. Yeah, looking like a nice one ahead of us.
absolutely. And I'm up for a good day. Basically, I'm feeling energized and in the game.
Good for you. Good for you. What's your secret then?
Well, it wouldn't be a secret if I told you, wouldn't I?
Oh, okay, let's move on then. Let's leave that.
I find a good, what was it, a good rank in the morning sets you up. Yeah. And it's particularly
What?
you're going about ranking,
Yes.
So yeah.
Good.
And your statistics can always be a bit, the way you perceive them and where they come
Oh
from.
God, yeah. Lies, damn
Yeah, but
lies, and statistics, right?
you could twist that a little bit and say, well, in central Portugal, quite a few people out here are very advanced in years. So they're
Yes,
not
indeed.
going to be able to, do as much as they used to, but they're still
Yeah.
out there and they're still, living.
Do you know what? It is the place in the country where you see most, I don't know, 70 and 80-year-olds, possibly 90-year-olds, bent double in a field picking cabbage, isn't it? I mean, people
Oh,
are,
I thought,
are
yes, yeah.
active and busy, aren't they? Thinking, let me help you with that. But no, there they are.
Yeah, the old lady across the road puts me to shame. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got fields and stuff all over the place, and you can see her walking around with a big bag of stuff on her head, and she's
Yep.
got to be 80 at least.
Amazing, isn't it?
Incredible.
Very,
So
very
they,
good.
they set
Yeah.
the standard, don't they?
Yeah, I think so, and I think you're right. It is a sort of statistical thing, that because there's more old folks out there, that is going to skew things a little bit with the sort of feedback they give, and they're more likely to say "mais ou menos," aren't they, at their age, whilst with a little twinkle in their eye as well.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. The little
Come on.
twinkle. Don't
Yeah,
lose your twinkle.
before we no, that's right. Before we go into your new weekly show and what's happening at the wine club tonight, here's another. I knew there was another thing I wanted to share with you. Why is this, Gary? This is what 50-year-olds used to look like, and I remember my dad looking a bit like that in 1985. And now 50-year-olds in 2025 look like the guy on the right. I mean, there's a bit of poetic license there because they might look a little bit older and have a bit more of a beer belly or something than the guy on the right. But there is a big difference, isn't there, in how 50, 60, and 70-year-olds look these days?
Well, look at those pictures. Who do you think you're going to have more fun with?
Actually, probably the guy on the left, to be fair.
I think so, because he looks like he knows how to enjoy himself, doesn't he? This
He
guy
does,
on the
doesn't he?
right is too much image, he's too much self-absorption. And
He
he
is.
looks he does look like he's got hemorrhoids, I must admit.
He does,
But,
doesn't
so
he?
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And he's sucking his cheeks in. He's moisturising. He's thinking about Instagram and stuff like that. The bloke on the left's not bothered about any of that, is he?
No, he's not. No,
I
he's
mean,
not.
he's dressed in the dark, isn't he? As well. He's not bothered about what. He's not bothered about what he's putting on.
He's got my bloody shirt on.
That's yours, is it? Right. Okay. Well, that's a very, very good. I can always rely on you for an interesting angle on things, including your weekly angle, your new weekly angle. How is the Connect show going on a Wednesday evening?
Oh, it's on fire. It's absolutely on fire. It's took.
In a good way.
It's yeah. I mean, busy. I mean, you don't realize how much time it takes up. You probably do because you do it, every day. But it consumes quite a bit of the week trying to, a bit of research and trying to find people to come on and
don't bother with
structure it
that.
together. Oh no,
Research? What's that?
well, you got to find the right person.
You
But
do.
I've been lucky. I've had some fabulous guests,
You do.
and some more good ones to come by the looks of it. So
And
yes,
if
I'm very
anyone
happy.
would like to appear, they can reach out to you, can they, to join you on the show?
But people can always reach out to me, and I'll
Yeah.
reach out and hold their hand back. I'll be there.
Oh, I feel a song coming on.
Yeah, I do.
Central Portugal, the musical. Hi ho! All right. Okay. And I get confused with that. Is it Central Portugal Connect? That's the name of the show on a Wednesday.
Right,
And you've
okay.
got a Facebook of the same name.
No, it's different, slightly different. The Facebook group is Central Portugal Connection, which is, as it says in the name, The Wednesday Interconnect is for everybody. Everybody from any
Okay. My mistake.
on a different level, from all the regions of Portugal. Come and join us. Tell us about your region. Tell us about what's going on. Let's share it. Let's do the whole caboodle.
I
Because
see.
I want to hear it. I
Right,
want to hear
okay.
it.
So you've got a Central Portugal Facebook group so that
Yes.
you can deal with that moan that people have. There's not enough information about what's going on. So you can post up information in there. And then on a Wednesday, you're inviting all the rest of the country to report in and say what's going on from their part of Portugal.
Absolutely. I feel
Right.
that the South and the Algarve are not stepping up to the mark on this. You know,
Oh,
it's a great
challenge.
place to live. I'm throwing the gauntlet down now, right? I
Yeah,
want
okay, go on.
somebody from
Yeah.
down south to get on here and tell us how good their lifestyle is, what's good about the place where they live, and just
Yeah.
tell us, balance things
Right.
out. Balance things
Okay.
out.
Well, let's call that bit "What's Good Down South," and that will get a
Well,
few extra.
yeah,
That'll get a few extra viewers for you, won't it? So there you go. We need a correspondent from the south of Portugal, but there you go. A great facility for people. So thanks very much there for doing that, Garvo. And tonight, of course, apparently the old geezer in the picture there is Wilfred Brimley. I didn't know that. If that's
all right.
what T Duck means, lots of comments in the chat. Thanks everybody for those. Is that Wilfred Brimley on the left?
I know that guy. It's just suddenly dropped. Remember the film? Was it the film Cocoon?
Oh yeah, was he in that?
He was in that, and he was the one, the Devil May Care one, who was
Oh,
like, living his last few years to the full.
oh, I see. Right.
So
Okay.
yes, definitely the man on the left. I'll choose
I'm not
I'll choose a
familiar.
night out with him, definitely.
Yeah, fair play. Okay. All right. Tonight at 8 o'clock as well, it is the Wine Club.
It is.
And we've gone in a different sort of direction, haven't we, tonight? Was this your idea, as I recall?
It was.
Right, go on.
And
What's happening tonight?
we've gone just up a notch this week, because this month is it's full of birthdays, of my own included, and a lot of the people I know, and a few of the ninjas are in there as well. So I thought we'd better just take it up a notch and do something a bit special. So we're going to have a white wine, but it's got to be over €10. Now there is a reason for that,
Yeah.
because I've always been very red biased, and it's only since I've come to Portugal I've discovered how good the whites are. Now
yeah,
I'm quite used to drinking your stuff from the supermarket, and it's good. It's good stuff, right? But tonight I want to lift it up.
Yeah.
Tonight I want to lift it up onto the
Yeah.
next shelf, literally, and taste the difference, and see if
Yes.
there is, is it worth it? Is that difference noticeable? And I think because we're in the situation that we're in with the world, it's so grim, and it's been raining and people are so down. I want to go up.
Not after a
I
couple
want
of
to go up.
glasses of wine.
There's nothing that a nice wine won't fix. So
Okay, so 3 agendas I see here. First is the maybe why, going back to the earlier piece, why the Portuguese health is rated so highly. They'd all had a couple of glasses of Portuguese wine before they filled out the survey.
yes,
And it puts a different angle on things, doesn't it? Different looking through glasses, as in glasses of wine, as well as your spectacles, possibly. White wine on the agenda, and I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people do prefer the red to the white. Is this your choice for tonight?
this is the choice.
Okay, hold it up.
I've done it. Hang on,
Just
try and
run
get a
out.
bit close.
Oh,
I've
you
done
pulled
it.
it. It's already chilling nicely, isn't it? I can see the
Yes.
condensation on it. It's like a pack.
Now then, right, Esperau. I've done the cheaper version many times, and it's always good. I always know
Oh, I
Esperau is
see.
going to be a
Okay,
good
yeah,
wine. But
yeah.
I've done some extensive research, right?
Okay.
I've
yeah.
tried other stuff. Yeah, I've been to the Douro, Grush, but I've always found this one to be a good one, right? So my hopes are pinned high on this.
Yeah.
I've got good expectations for this. So my
Okay,
advice to
so-
people is, right, get yourself down the supermarket, yeah. Have a look on the shelves, find yourself a nice one. Maybe get yourself a bit of pêche de couche, Camarão, or bacalhau,
Yes.
and I sit there. Come and join us tonight. Leave the world behind.
And luxuriate in some decent
Luxury.
wine.
Treat yourself. Treat
Yeah,
yourself.
Fair enough.
Celebrate the birthdays with us, and get in there. Come on, let's have a go. Let's have a go together.
That sounds lovely. So, for those who didn't think they like white wine or are put off it, and I was for many years, I used to think it gave me a
likewise.
headache. The sulfites in white, you were safe for drinking red, but my love of white has returned. I prefer white wine now. Actually, I have to say, there's a time and a place, isn't there, for the red in the winter? A bit of full-bodied Portuguese red, and I'm with food red. I can see that, but just having a glass of wine at home. The white wine here is great and it's very refreshing. And we're going to see what happens when you spend above €10, which is going to be quite the departure for many people in the wine club tonight.
Well, yeah, we've got used to drinking the stuff you get from the supermarket around the €5 mark.
Yes.
And I know that this is going to be better. I just
Looking
feel it in my
forward to
bones.
that then, mate. Great. Okay, well, stick around because James is joining us. He's coming up the rear with at the moment, and he's going to be talking about his new feature, the Bird of the Week, which
All
I'm
right,
looking
I'm a bit
en
of a birdie.
passant. Well, en
I'm a bit of a,
passant. You're a Twitcher, are you?
yes, a twitcher. Yes.
Until he's had a couple of glasses of wine and then you calm down a bit. Right, we've got JMC with us. Bon dia, rapaziada. Good morning to you. And yes, likes a bit of Espanol. Quite good. Old vines. Bodied, says JMC knows a thing or two.
See,
Old
bodied.
vines. You see, like that expression, old chicken makes good soup. Old vines possibly make a good...
Old vines and bodied, much like myself.
Oh, yes. He's old vine kind of guy. 2 years at once a week and twice at once a month. Is that like a riddle that we're supposed to solve, Peter?
Is that sex or something else? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. A beautiful drive with a top down.
Who's top?
Across the Ceradaga yesterday with Pam and another pal up to the Bayona España. A nice one, the Bayona España. A bit of lunch and a long walk around the castle on a pleasant drive. How lovely. Living life to the fullest
Yes.
there. Bon Dia ALEGRIA from Pete as well. And I don't know how many of... You never know how many of Pete's comments to. He's already talking about a good wee and releasing your bowels. I'll let you read that in your own time there. And Jean's with us. You know Jean? You do, don't you, in Central Portugal? Tamar area?
Actually,
You've got to get him on your show. Get him on your show about
right.
the new initiative for young entrepreneurs in Portugal. He's doing great work in Tamar. Great bloke and a great idea. So I would suggest if I can put you two together for that, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely, no problem.
Right, and I'll see you tonight for the Wine Club. And we will be trying whites at over 10 euros plus. I look forward to seeing you there. And we celebrate a few birthdays. And beginners welcome. People can join us on the screen and certainly watch from the comfort of their armchair. And come and join us tonight at 8 o'clock. Cheers, Garvo.
See you lovely people later.
Mate. All right. And don't forget to catch him on Wednesday as well for the Interconnect, bringing all of Portugal together online, as well as the Central Portugal Facebook group. We've clarified that. Well, I have at least this morning. More applause. And let's bring James on with Bird of the Week, among other things. Good morning to you. Olá Bom Dia.
I missed my music.
Okay, hold on a minute. So let's just... Let's pretend you didn't see that bit, okay? And now let's go over to James. But before we bring him onto the screen, of course, we should play his music. James, how are you doing?
Bom dia.
Olá Bom Dia. I don't know who the other guy was. Well, it's great to see you.
Talk about being in the moment. When I just came on the screen, I could have just gone, but there's a certain, queuing up. The music's like, oh, here, it's like, here you go. And that energy was missing. I went, oh, wait, I'm on. Okay.
It is conditioning, isn't it? And it tells you a lot about walk-on music for people who are stage-based artists, right? I think it's very important. And when you watch a comedy show, that blast of music is very important, isn't it? Before a comedian.
Yeah, and how many of those do we remember from the shows that we really liked and watched? They just stick with us. So
yeah, absolutely. Well,
love the enthusiasm, JMC. Obrigado.
I can only apologize, and thank you for letting me know. And yeah, I really enjoy your music as well. It's spring-like. It's got those lovely upbeat guitar strums in it, hasn't it? And very suitable for the time of year. It's brought us through winter. And I noticed in passing last week you talked about birds and birdsong. I think we certainly talked about your love of birds and being an ornithologist, a twitcher, as we say in the UK. And it occurred to me, why don't we have a Bird of the Week? To which you readily responded gladly.
Yes, well, and I always chuckle a little bit inside because I am far from an expert. I'm pretty much, what I really enjoy is being out in nature, looking at nature, and bird songs have always just, if I'm out in nature and it's silent, can be a certain awe to it, but I kind of anticipate and expect hearing birds.
Yeah.
And when they're not there, sometimes it feels a little bit eerie. It's like, what's going on? There's no birds. So the habit I've gotten into is learning to identify a bird, to see it. And then if I already know, it's like, oh, great, I know this one. But if I don't, then at some point after it flies away, then I try to look it up and see what it was I was just looking at.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, I'm also listening to see if I can hear what sounds it's making, because so often you hear the birds long before you see them.
Yeah.
And if you know what to anticipate to see because you've heard the song, then you're more likely to be able to make a positive identification. Yes. Beyond that, identifying, learning their habitats and their migration patterns and all the other things you can learn about birds, even their flight patterns, how they flap their wings and where they go up or down, all those kinds of things. I'm not my forte at all. I haven't even really tried to study it. I'm just trying to get to know the birds. And then the challenge in Portugal is that the birds I'm already familiar with in English have a different name.
Yes,
it's a Portuguese name.
Yeah.
Also, coming from the United States, there are very few birds in Europe that also reside in North America. So that's new too. Like virtually every time I see a bird for the first time, it's the first time. In American English, you call it twitching. In British, we call it birding.
Birding, right? Okay.
Yeah, birding. But so the life list, which is how I, like I said I think it was last week, I collect certain things that are special to me. So yes. Mugs that have I've learned that they're very easy to travel. They don't take up much space, so I'm not like filling up a house with collectible stuff, but have meaning to me. Like I can look at the mug and remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when I found that mug and purchased it, which is usually when I'm traveling and going to new places. So birding is very similar. I identify a bird. I can almost always remember the very first time I saw that bird and what I was doing when I saw it. Yeah. So there's a certain collectible kind of a feel to it for me, as opposed to a scientific or educational kind of like I'm going to learn a lot about this bird. So I'm going to learn to identify it, see if I can identify its sound and its appearance, see if I can identify the variations in that bird, because males are often different from females in size and color. And then gulls altogether, I was thinking about that when you brought this up yesterday. It's like, gulls to me are like me not listening to Portuguese being spoken around me. It's so many varieties and so many things to consider and think about. The brain for me just starts going, so never mind. So with gulls, it's the same, because each species has generally 4 different appearances depending on how old it is.
Yes.
And sometimes there's a difference between male and female. So if you've got 16 different gulls, you've got 64 possible identifications for every one gull that you look at. It's like, too much.
Yes. Isn't it funny? And there's only one kind of gull, isn't there, when you're a kid, and that's that shape.
Yes.
In the sky. That's right. That's it. And yeah, there is a lot of complexity, isn't there, and a lot to learn about seabirds for sure. Of which they're an important constituency, aren't they, of the Portuguese birds? So I think this I was going to say this feature's got legs. It's got wings. It's got wings. This
Both.
feature, and people are responding already. The other thing that we may or may not get time to talk about, but I just want to do a little bit of a flag up the flagpole for something I'm going to start next week. This is GMP Preparedness Week. They have one of these in Canada, and the EU have been telling people how to be prepared. And of course, there's an ongoing theme in Portugal with fire and earthquake preparedness. And I just thought we'd do a little bit of a season and maybe write a bit of a course so that people can make sure all their I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So we can have a conversation about it. Start Sunday, 13th, running through all next week. till Friday the 18th, and we'll do something different every day, and we'll write a course together. And we'll have a party on the 19th, because that's the important thing. We'll party like it's 1999 as well.
We didn't need all this stuff this week. Yay!
Yeah, we'll have a celebration, karaoke and disco, 19th of April, if you want to come to San Martino de Porto for our monthly party as well. The inevitables, death and taxes, we'll cover them. The stuff the EU's been talking about, which is 72-hour pack, and we'll have some fun with it as well. Putting together what you might have in your house as a 72-hour thing.
I can only imagine.
Yes. Well, that was our first go. This was also on my agenda when I wrote my April Fool this year. That's the Portuguese 3-day disaster survival kit. Wine, lots of wine. Yeah, just have the conversation about it, really. So that will start next week. I don't know if you and I will have time to talk about that today, because I do definitely want to.
I can say one thing about it. In the United States, the Boy Scout motto is "Be prepared." So
be prepared. Absolutely. So Nuno will help us with that. He's all about prepared.
It's a little different in Portuguese, but it's the same concept.
Yeah. And I think I suppose the one thing that is quite important to address, and Mama Bear will be here tomorrow, and she's always flown the flag for this, is your end of life situation, wills and so on, and how to make sure that's dealt with, rather than it being a sort of indistinct and difficult thing that's never talked about and can be awkward. If it's not prepared for, we can touch on that as well.
Well, and that's part of the reason it's almost redundant that we don't talk about it, is it makes us uncomfortable thinking about being in a crisis situation or dying or potential mortality, all the things that we don't want to look at, which is very similar to M with her particular focus on end of life sort of issues.
Yes.
We tend not to want to look at it. It was when you introduced the concept to me, I said, that's a great idea. I don't want to talk about it. It's like
great idea. I don't want to talk about it. Yes. Yeah, and you won't be alone in that. It's there for those who do want to. And a great mind once told me, prepare for the worst. Well, hope for the best first and prepare for the worst. And I know Dr. Maya Angelou has a twist on that as well. She said, hoping for the best. This is it in I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Hoping for the best, prepared for the worst, and unsurprised by anything in between is not a bad way to be in life, which comes back to the mindfulness that you speak of from time to time as well. This is Mindful Migration Monday. I
don't think you can get away from mindfulness. Except to try not to be. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. We have some bird talk coming in then, and we will reveal our bird of the week for this week that you've chosen. It's a bird song I think that many people are familiar with. T-Duck, of course, has a bird of the day every day. I don't know what it is, though. You're going to have to give us more help on that, T-Duck. No birds mean earthquake, either that or it's eating time. That's an interesting comment, JMC. Yeah, when the birds go quiet, there's usually a good reason for it.
Yeah, well, for all the birds to go quiet all at the same time, there's the earthquake possibly. I don't know. I haven't seen the research, but certainly potential predators. Sometimes that'll set out alarm calls, but oftentimes the talk about preparation, the readiness aspect is they go quiet.
Yes.
Shh, be quiet. Don't talk. Don't move.
Yeah. Yes. Something's happening.
So often when there are, it's an interesting irony. I think it's an irony. When birders or twitchers are out looking for birds, there's usually a group of them walking along. And what I learned early on is the birds spread out in a big circle to get as far away as they can, but still to where they want to be. So it goes really quiet. You don't see any birds. And then you walk another, 100 meters and they all close in behind and get back to what they were doing. And it gets even worse when you have dogs, because they've really learned that, some humans, they're just like, what are they doing? They're just kind of looking at us. But dogs like, oh, watch out. They're going to chase us. They're going to try and kill us. So they really clear out. Yeah. So the frustration for me is if I'm out in nature and I'm just starting to see or hear where birds are, and then people walking dogs start coming along, they all just go away. It's like,
no, all right, okay. Shut up, you idiot. All right.
So that can make it quiet too, the presence of potential predators.
Yeah.
I had I got I have several bird apps. So most of them now have the sounds of the birds.
Nice,
so
yes.
I used to take my phone and set up like a red-tailed hawk, which is a known predatory bird. And there would be all kinds of birds in my backyard that, you know, usually on the ground or in the bushes. And I would put it on just to see if they could distinguish that this is an electronic sound or a real one. And I don't think they care. They just hear the sound, they go, we're gone. It was really interesting to see and to observe. And then, of course, my kids went, oh, let me do it. Let me scare the birds. Like, no, this was a scientific experiment, one time only. I just wanted to see what happened. I don't want to scare the birds away.
Have you seen in the Vasco da Gama shopping centre, the way they deal with the pigeons there is to have a hawk? And
okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was in the in a mall yesterday, and the pigeons and gulls were trying to come and get the food. And they had a plastic owl to try and scare the birds away there. And I don't think it works very well. Or it does, because in the way that at the Vasco da Gama Centre, the hawk owner who walks around with the bird of prey just does a sound like the pigeons are now attuned to that, so they just move on a little bit. They don't fly away; they just move away.
Yeah.
And this person has to walk around the Vasco da Gama Centre, just hustling the birds along a little bit.
Just a little whistle.
Yeah, it's the same where there's this plastic owl. They just don't sit near the plastic owl. They sit a bit further away.
Well, and I mentioned dogs earlier. They've been used where Canada geese have become a nuisance around, metropolitan ponds and lakes, grassy areas, because they're notorious for just pooping all over everything. So you can't even walk on the grass without I'm just walking on goose poop.
That reminds me of the Mrs. M saw a fantastic bit of film of the peacock, or one of the peacocks in Cartagena, through the window of one of the novelty shops there. I'll call it a novelty shop. And it was doing its full display. But those peacocks can lay down quite a lot of what should we call it? Free gifts. Guano, I think, is a technical term.
Yes, well, all birds do, obviously, but often the bigger the birds, the bigger the poop. No,
absolutely,
no surprise.
Isn't that a Portuguese saying? The bigger the bird,
more than likely, yeah. So gulls. Clearly, and they're known. There's lots of jokes about them like looking out for humans to drop something.
Direct hit, and yes, good luck if you get hit. Well, especially because it's not me, it's you that got hit by the droppings. Now, I imagine the droppings of this species are quite small. And let me just take away the frame so that you can see this. This is Bird of the Week, then, James, of the first in our series.
Yes, this is the male version. The other was a female. It was relatively short notice, so you can see a substantial difference in coloring. You'd see this brown one and go, I don't know, but you see this one, you go, oh, I know what that is, right?
Yes.
So learning to associate the female it's not always a female. Generally, it's the female that has less colorful plumage. Sometimes it's the opposite, depending on the mating habits of the birds, mostly, or the care for the young. But anyway, I chose this one on sort of short notice because it's really common. I'd be surprised if anyone who's been here for 6 months hasn't seen one of these, because they're all over the place. It's called common, a common blackbird, and this one isn't so black. It's a common female blackbird.
There you
go. Common blackbird.
And the name for it in Portuguese, James?
Melru.
Milro, that's right. Yeah, okay. So good from the vocab point of view as well. And I have put a list of Portuguese birds, the Wikipedia list, and it's the song of this bird, isn't it? And it's very noisy, isn't it? If you startle it, or it can startle you, can't it? As you're walking around a woodland, for example. I know I've been startled by the sudden outburst of blackbird calls.
Yeah, for me, because I've primarily lived in residential areas. I haven't seen flocks. I usually see one, or if I wait long enough, there's almost always the partner of the one that I see. Oftentimes, how I got to know this bird is I heard what I consider to be a beautiful bird song. And I said, what? Because my curiosity is, what bird makes that sound?
Yeah,
that's sort of my initial. So I'm looking around, and it's easy now because I see them all the time. Where I lived, I had a view of just a lawn and a driveway, and they were always in the lawn. I think looking for worms. But So I got really familiar. And the striking thing about that particular blackbird, the male especially, is just the bright yellow contrast in the head.
Yes. Yeah,
you see that bright eye ring and that bright yellow bill, and you just go, woo, okay, that's pretty easy to distinguish. Another reason I selected it. It's very common, probably see it almost anywhere you go, especially if there's any ground area to feed. And it was easy. It was on my life list. I just did a screenshot of from my bird app because I said, well, that's a great picture. So,
well, do you know what this is? I'm glad I overheard it and made a little mental note because this is proving to be a very popular feature here.
Nice.
We shall do more. We've got Tig joining us in just a moment. She disappeared just as I was going to. She's back again now. Just compose yourself for a moment there, Tig. We've also got a lovely picture. That's Nazare, I think, looking down onto Nazare. That's a couple of goals there from Pam. Thank you very much indeed for those.
And gulls are so common. But if we really look at them, they're really quite striking birds. I mean,
yes.
Look at how regal they look.
I saw a dead one on the beach once, and it was amazing how light it was. They're incredible. How their aerobatics are incredible.
Yes.
I guess it's on account of being so light. They are just incredibly light creatures and beings.
I always say they're laughing when they make their sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what are you laughing at? Be careful, James. Be careful. You might have a whole flock of them joining you with impersonations as good as that. And I think that's the Bashko Become a Centre. We're going to get more bird pictures, I'm sure, as a result of this. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, James, for starting this off. Bird of the week this week then was the blackbird. There's the male.
And the wetlands around Aveiro, which is within a 30-minute train ride to me, they're really great birding spot, I've been told, and from what I've seen in the nature documentaries, so it's definitely on my list of one of the places I want to get to. Also want to find a regular birding group in the Espinho area.
Great, keep us up to date with that. And
haven't looked yet.
Fantastic. Pete's recommendation was the Merlin bird app. So there you go.
That's the one I use mostly, Pete. Yep.
Yep. Thank you for all your input, everybody. That's captured people's hearts and imaginations this morning. Got to go, James. Need to go speak to Tig now. Have a great week. Thank you so much for being here.
Looking forward to it.
Cheers, James. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and we'll keep the applause going for Tig James MBE, who joins us now live from the Algarve. Hello, Tig.
Good morning.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Yeah, very well. Nice weekend. Didn't get too wet. Nice outbreak of sunshine. Some beautiful sunset photos I've seen from all over the country. Fabulous weekend. How was yours?
It was okay. Not too bad. Didn't do much. I got a bad back, so there you go.
Really?
There's lots of things up, doesn't it? But yeah, it's just rest. So yeah.
Okay, so you're of this school of thought of rest when it comes to having a bad back, rather than getting out there and working it.
I think if you work on a bad back, then you can mess it up even more.
True, that is the risk, isn't it? Although I have, you do see people saying, "Yeah, get out there and just work it," and that's one way of getting it better. But I guess rest is the other, and it sounds like that's what you're choosing at the moment. Well, I hope that acho melhoras, amiga. I hope that gets better soon for you.
Thank you very much. No.
A last comment on birds here. Those goals were the ones I wanted to go see the view. Where I wanted to go see the view, I got really close and they weren't moving. It was a standoff. Are you a bird fan? Do you get much bird life down in the Algarve? I think you probably do.
I mean, I'm so blessed because I live right by the sea. So I mean, one of the things I hadn't thought of, because I've never lived quite this close to the sea before, was my terrace now has lots of seagull poo.
Blessings, you might call them, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, so I've ended up buying a jet wash.
Seriously, just for the seagull guano?
Just for the seagull poo, yeah. I mean,
you can't put it on your plants then or anything. You can't make it compost or whatever. Or they're not good at. They're not their target practices.
No, I don't know if you. No, they were just having a right old World War III out there like 10 seconds ago.
Oh, so they're noisy as well. Noisy neighbours now.
No, not really. It's fabulous because I've got lovely views from where I live, and I mean with the wind and the rain, and I mean they just swirl and glide on the wind when it's fabulous to watch.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's
Oh, good for
amazing.
you. Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent
Oh, I
stuff.
love it. Absolutely love
Okay.
it.
All right, wonderful. We've got a few things to discuss as ever, haven't we? Something came onto the radar this morning. The British are the third most refused entry to Portugal. We can go into that, or we might not. You might have other things to talk about, including is the new AIMA contact form on your list? I think it's working better now, isn't it?
I don't know. When I tried it a few days ago, it was just defunct. It wouldn't work, and I haven't tried it since. So
Just for show. Yeah.
But I mean that's only for specific things, isn't it? Like
It
change
is
the
address
address,
changes.
lost, stolen. So that is specifically. But I mean, going back before I get into the stuff I need to discuss.
Yeah.
I mean, Brazilians first,
Yeah.
refusals, Angolan second, Brit third. I mean,
How's
really,
that?
guys?
Yes, it's incredible, isn't it?
And I mean, when you think of the amount of Brazilians, it's sort of like that will be trying to come and that. I mean, yeah, I get it just from sheer volume.
Sheer numbers. Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously the associated countries to Portugal. I can never remember. Is it CPLP countries?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Of
that
course, Brazil and Angola are part of. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got those, and so you've got Brazilians, Angolans, and then Brits. But I am not surprised. I am not, because
why are you not surprised? Why are you not surprised?
Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest, because there is even now there's this huge entitlement that Brits have. So many Brits still have that. Well, I'm British. Why won't you let me in? And and I've lived here for 10 years with no documents. Why won't you let me in?
Oh, do you think it's returning Brits then rather than holidaying Brits?
No, yeah, I think it'll be Brits leaving and it'll be Brits returning. Yes, absolutely. Because they just have this arrogance. There's still a proportion that have this dreadful arrogance that there's somehow
arrogance. I do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
now, the main reason for refusal into Portugal was shown to be lack of reason. That's funny. The main reason is lack of reason. Or followed by a lack of an expired visa. That's probably where your theory comes in then, that there's a lack of the appropriate paperwork. They've got a reason, haven't they? I'm British, I tell you, which doesn't possibly stand up on the border. Okay.
I mean, that is just, it's just so indicative of the arrogance of so many Brits. It really is. And I mean, we've had it again and again and again and again. Really have.
Yes, you'll have heard from these people wanting you to help them, right, with their situation.
Oh gosh, yeah. I've lived here 25 years and owned a house.
Why
do I need? I don't need.
Look, Catherine's piling in as well. Absolutely, a sense of entitlement. That's only some of us. Come on.
It is, and I agree. It is a percent, but it's a percentage of us that are like that. I mean that and it's just, and we just shrug our shoulders and go, fine, okay, that's fine. But when you leave the Schengen area, you're in for a shock, and what people have done is literally got to the airport, haven't had paper, and the guys have gone, you've overstayed by 15
20 years.
Yeah. and they literally have been put on a plane with their suitcases. I mean, I've even had a family, no word of a lie, with husband, wife, children in school.
Really?
No paperwork. Get on it, and that's it. They're gone. And of course, what people always and of course, with the arrogance, the same entitlement. Oh well, what will the fine be? Because
I see. Assuming they could just pay their way through it.
Absolutely. I've had again. Oh well, what's the fine? And I said, you don't get this. I said, yeah, there'll be a lovely fine, a big fine. And I think one couple got fined something like 1,200 euros. Oh, if that's it, no, that's just the beginning. And you will get an automatic ban from the Schengen area for a minimum of 6 months.
Really?
Okay? minimum of 6. But that it doesn't end there either, because they can give you 12 months, however, whatever they like. But the thing is that when people then want to return to the Schengen area, so say they've been banned from any country in the Schengen, but let's talk specifically about Portugal. So they then fly back into Portugal, meet the lovely GNR at the gate, border guard, thank you very much. And they go, oh, you got banned. No, I don't want you.
Really?
Yeah, they have the absolute right to refuse you entry. To me, it's you've got, if you're a bank robber, then goes back to the bank and wants to be employed there.
Yeah. Do you think British bank robbers are different to other bank robbers? I'm British, or like, I'm British.
I'm British. Of course I can work in this bank. What do you mean I robbed it before?
That's the past. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let bygones be bygones. Okay. Well, yes. You need a good reason and you need good paperwork. Does that connect with the rest of the information you're sharing with us this morning, Tim?
Sort of.
Right, okay.
What I very quickly wanted to go through, there are 3 ways to contact AIMA.
Right.
Okay. Phone, email, and their web form. Okay. Yes. Now the web form, it's first or second page. But it is there, guys. Last time I looked. Anyway,
last time I looked, very good caveat. Yeah, it might have changed.
The general phone number, which is incredibly difficult to get through on, but the general phone number is 217.
Okay.
115 000. Do you want that again?
Yes, please.
217.
Yep.
115.
Yep.
000.
Okay, and that's the AIMA's phone number. Right. Okay.
Yeah. The general email address is Geral, so GERAL.
Yeah.
At AIMA.gov.pt.
Right.
Now then, for all you Brits out there that were here before 2021, and for those wanting family reunification, if you've got your withdrawal agreement biometric cards, there is a specific email for Brexit issues, which is Brexit at AIMA.gov.pt.
Very good.
Now then, there is also now a dedicated Brexit phone number.
Oh my word! This is the big news of the day, then, perhaps. Right? Okay.
Right.
Brexit hotline. I'm going to call it a hotline. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that number is 214.
Yeah.
236.
Yes.
709.
Right.
However. You always know there's a however. Only certain people, under certain circumstances, will get any help using that. And there's 6. There's 6 sorts. Okay. Let me just make it very clear right from the start. If you want them to give you an appointment just because you've got a withdrawal agreement biometric card, forget it. You will not get an appointment ringing this number. It doesn't matter what you do, you will not get an appointment. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't ring that if you want an appointment. It won't work. And you'll just clog up the phone line and for nothing, you know?
Okay.
So anyway.
Can I just check these with you, Tig, before you move on? Because we've got Catherine asking for them. So AIMA is 217-115-000. I think you probably know that off by heart, don't you? Cheryl at AIMA.gov.pt is the general number. For Brexit inquiries, that'll be Brexit at AIMA.gov.pt, obviously the email address, and the Brexit hotline. Now, I have had experience of ringing this number, and they've been very helpful. They are signposters, aren't they? They're not going to deal with it there and then, but they will tell you what to do to put your mind at rest, which has been very helpful in the past. And
that's what everybody has said, that the person answering the phone, whoever it is, has been really, really useful and helpful.
And great English as well. Bless them, because there are great English speakers on that line as well, which is very helpful in a stressful situation.
Really useful.
And no, we don't have time for this sort of cynicism. Thank you, JMC. Government-related services don't answer phone. That means work.
That's what it is. Right, nothing anybody can do. You just have to keep trying. Emails and phone numbers. It is what it is. We're all in the same boat.
Go on, Tig.
Right. Okay. Now then, the Brexit dedicated Brexit phone line. Right. Okay. All of this is about people that were here before 2021. Yeah. So come up with the withdrawal agreement. Okay. If you've never received an appointment from SEF or AIMA, then you can, to get your withdrawal agreement biometric card, your residency card, then this is the number. If you've never received an email from them about getting your withdrawal agreement biometric card, okay, if you've had payment issues with your withdrawal agreement biometric card, because lots of people had payment issues and have never got it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, still payment issues. Still
Nightmare.
payment issues. Okay. That was 3, 4. Family reunification. If you are under the withdrawal agreement and you want family reunification, give them a ring.
Okay, very good.
Okay. This is what we were talking about earlier. If you've been in Portugal prior to 2021 and you've never got yourself a withdrawal agreement biometric card, you will need to provide evidence that you have been here since that date, since prior to 2021. Okay, and this is the phone number that you ring in order to start that ball rolling.
Right, and when you say this phone number, is that one?
The dedicated Brexit hotline. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
If you've never received your withdrawal agreement biometric card and have paid for it, and you can prove that you've paid for it and whatever, again, this hotline.
Okay, all right. So Brexit specific issues, 214-236-709. Nothing else, because as Tig says, you'll just be blocking up the line. And they don't actually, as I said, I think that's accurate, isn't it? They're signposting. They'll tell you what to do and put you into the processes, but they won't sort it out there and then on the phone. They are an information line rather than a sort of executive service there. And the equivalent email address is brexit@aima.gov.pt for those of you listening on the podcast. For those of you listening on the podcast, let me just do those again. General AIMA number 217-115-000, and the email address for that, Gerald. That's the general email address for AIMA, gerald@aima.gov.pt for Brexit specific issues. The phone number 214-236-709. And the corresponding email address, brexit@aima.gov.pt there. Yes.
Can I just make it very clear, though, Carl, that, none of those conditions included that you can't ring them because you've lost your card, your withdrawal agreement biometric card, or it's been stolen, or that you want it renewing. It does not include that. And those conditions as well, as you know, in exceptional circumstances, I will intervene.
Yes.
I will intervene. But if you've lost your card or it's been stolen or you want your address renewing, no, I can't. That isn't exceptional. That is normal circumstances for a lot of people. Yeah. I was in the same boat, and, it is what it is. They're not, you've got a card or, hopefully you've got a copy. For goodness sakes, guys, just go to the post office and get a certified copy of your document, whatever it is, your biometric card. Whatever.
Hold on a minute. You say certified copy, so not just a photocopy, they'll do a certified copy.
Yes, post office do certified copies of documents, yes.
Ooh, certified by what? The person on the counter or their machine?
On the counter, police will accept it. Everybody will accept it. Yes.
Well, that's a good bit of information. I think I did know that, but that's a great reminder. Certified copies at the post office at the CTT. Right.
I've said that, and as you know, I've just become a citizen and I haven't done mine yet, but I am going to go and get a certified copy of my citizen's card. If by any, for whatever reason I lose my card, I've got a certified copy that everybody accepts.
That's a nugget. That is a golden nugget. So a couple of questions before we go this morning and we begin our boss semana. What is the renewal process for your residency visa permit different from CEF? I don't know what you mean by different from CEF, or are you talking about differentiation from Brexit possibly there, Catherine?
You talking again, visa permits are completely different to what I'm talking about. Yes. That is a completely different ball game to this, and would take forever.
And we can help you with that on a Thursday night. We've got the Dream Team Town Hall session with the pros in the business who will help you with any questions about that. But I would start with the numbers, for the general numbers, not the Brexit numbers, Catherine, that you'll have seen on the screen before, that I think you probably wrote down before as well. Quick question for Tig. How long are the renewals for residency taking at the moment from what you've heard? Any view on that, Tig?
No. It just totally depends. I mean, what they will do is there's a few things that I do need to say. Basically, AIMA are doing what CEF used to do, which is they will give you a an appointment wherever there's an appointment free. And
Yeah.
again, people are having to travel miles to
Right.
renew. And also, if people could be very, very careful with their language when they write to AIMA, because if you say, for instance, say you've got a 5-year withdrawal agreement biometric card, and you now want you're now able to get a 10-year one, and you're saying, do not use the word renew.
Right.
You are applying, because if you say you renew, they will direct you to the IRN office, who don't deal with you. So
Yes.
you then have to start all over again. So you are applying for your permanent withdrawal agreement biometric card. Going on from that as well, if you only this is for any EU citizens that are listening, only third country nationals can go to the IRN office, which is us, for accept withdrawal agreement biometric cards. Only third country nationals can go to the IRN office to renew their cards.
Okay, very good. As we might have expected, when you have these conversations, further questions arise, don't they? So if you could give us give us a couple more minutes, Tig, that would be awesome. Should we apply for a 10-year, as we only have 5, which runs out in about 18 months? And
but you see, the thing is, again, when did Gary arrive?
right.
Is he a withdrawal agreement biometric card holder? Did he get his residency 2 years ago? Well, from that 18 months ago, was it 3.5 years ago?
Okay. Now this isn't true, is it? Everyone has 5, and we have about 12 months left. I think in our household we had a 5 and a 10.
No. It totally depends again which card you've got. Which visa. You can't. It isn't that simple, because visa permits last 2 years or whatever, how long, withdrawal agreement biometric cards. But you see, people with withdrawal agreement biometric cards, all of us now this year will have been in Portugal for 5 years.
Yes. Yes.
The withdrawal agreement biometric card was probably issued around 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Means when you go back to your initial residency date, when you got EU residency, that is your initial residency date. It's 5 years from that date you can get a permanent withdrawal agreement biometric card.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that's the funny thing, isn't it, in the vocabulary or the nomenclature of permanent and temporary residence, and which is nothing to do with citizenship. Right. Okay. Very good. Now this is an interesting question here from Pam. Oh, by the way, T-Duck, we're at 4 years on Wednesday, so going for permanent residency next year. I think T-Duck is clear on the differentiation there between temporary and permanent residency there.
Again, you see, 4 years ago, so that will have been 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there will be a language requirement.
Even for permanent residency and not citizenship?
Yes.
Really? Oh, okay, that's interesting. All right. Late to the party again, Bon Dia Gumpers.
Sorry, unless you're an EU citizen.
Okay. As informally, before you became a Portuguese resident. Okay. Interesting. Good advice, JMC. Carry the copy, original safe at home. That's a good idea. That's not to say the GNR might not ask you to produce the original at a later date, which I think they're able to do, are they not? But let's hope.
Maybe. I've never had that though. Whenever I've produced a certified copy from the post office or my lawyer, never had it. They've never ever asked. No.
Excellent. Now, what does this mean? I wonder what will happen in 2032 when all the Brexit cards expire. Is that a possibility?
But they don't, because it won't. Because what happens is that you've already got people on 5-year cards, but don't forget, people are asking for their permanent withdrawal agreement biometric cards from their initial residency date, which was prior to 2021.
Yes. Okay.
So you've got some people whose resident, they can apply for their permanent WABC now. And, and also people have got permanent cards, which are 10 years long.
Okay, very good.
It's staggered, isn't it? Depending on when you first arrived.
Yeah, they're not all going to go in one go. That's quite worrying, that question, Pam. But
can we just go back to that? The
Yes, yes.
permit is waived if you're over 65. Not that I know of.
Okay, that's an interesting point then. Thank you for that, T-Duck. Excellent. We have the A1 and A2, and we'll have the B1 and B2 by then. So that helps then, Tig. And I already had a permanent residency, expires in 2030.
And that's fine. That's
Just renew.
fine.
Yeah, well, it doesn't happen for everyone at that same time, though, does it, Pam or Tig there? Yes. Okay. Well, that's an interesting, I guess, a takeaway from today to verify that fact there. And thank you for everything, all the information this morning. This was often you come in, it's quite relaxed, and there's a flurry of activity, isn't there, as you leave this.
Can I just go back though? That length for permanent residency is waived over 65. Not as far as I am aware.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
If you're not, and if you're under the withdrawal agreement, yes. But not as far as I am aware. I may be wrong, but not as far as I'm aware.
Well, let's find out. Let's get to the bottom of that for the sake of the community. Thanks, T-Duck. Thanks, Tig, on that. And Bon Dia, T-Duck, and Solar Life from Jackie as well, getting up to speed here. Tig, thank you very much. Have a great week. I hope your back gets better soon and those seagulls aren't too naughty on your balcony there. And yes, enjoy the spring that's coming in. And we'll see you again next month.
You will indeed.
Cheers, Tig. Thanks for everything.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you, everybody, for being. Have a great week. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell.